Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday night, and that means it's time for another Tuesday Night Live. Hello, my name is Teresa Harper, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm located in Sheridan, Oregon, in the United States. Welcome. Hope you had a good week and that you are excited about the projects tonight. Let's go ahead and get this up so I can see who's on. All right. Hello, Tracy. Hope everything went good with your mom at the doctor today. It's been crazy busy. Crazy busy, I know, for you and me. All right. Hello, Laura. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Elaine. So happy to have you here. All right. Hello, Cynthia. All right. Let's go ahead. We're going to be using some new upcoming sneak peek products, and that's going to be the Bottled Happiness stamp set right here. You will find this in the brand new annual catalog, which goes live on May 3rd. Now, I can't open up the catalog, but you will find this if you open your catalog to page 151. That's where you'll find the stamp set. It also has a coordinating punch, which I do not have. So, of course, we won't be using that tonight. And then we're also going to be using from the current spring catalog, which goes, it's the January to June 2022 catalog. On page 12 is the Gumball Greetings bundle, and this will go through the end of June. And this stamp set, I'm sorry to say, is not in the new annual catalog. So get it while you can. And before I forget, Stampin' Up! Announced this morning that there will be a free shipping day on Thursday, April 21st for 24 hours only. So I put out on my Facebook today a list of price increases with the new annual catalog. I suggest you take a look at that post, see what's increasing, stock up on your basics, your cardstock, your adhesives, Stampin' Dimensionals are going up. So just take a look at that list and take advantage of that free shipping day. You have to have a minimum a spend of $75, and that's before any coupons or tax if you're in another state. Here in Oregon, we don't have state tax, so we don't have to, we don't have a sales tax, so we don't have to worry about that stuff. But if you're anywhere else in the country, pretty much you have a sales tax, so you got to worry about that. All right, so be sure to get your list together and get ready to put in those orders on free shipping day. Again, that is Thursday, April 21st. Okay? All right, I'm going to get this stuff out of the way. I've got my current host code here. That will go through mid-May. And we are going to get started. We're going to do some embossing today, a black magic technique. We're going to be using some Stampin' Blends. Going to be using the rectangular postage stamp punch. So we're going to put that over here. Got some brushed brass butterflies for embellishment. We've got the black gingham ribbon. This will be in the new catalog. That's carrying over, I believe. I believe. We'll also be using the scalloped contour dies. These two will be carrying over. This currently is bundled with the Color and Contour stamp set in the annual catalog. once this goes into the new catalog, it is unbundled and you'll have to pay full price if you want both the stamp set and the dies. So I would suggest that on free shipping day, you take advantage of that and get that bundle before it's gone. I love these dies. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got some Stamparatus work to do, some embossing. We're going to start with a card base of polished pink, and this is a standard A2 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I've got a piece of basic black here, and this is a scrap piece for stamping on. And then I've got a scrap piece of basic white for my sentiment. I've pre-cut out of basic white the second largest die from the scallop contour dies. Did that to save us a little bit of time. And we have a piece of the Patterned Party Host DSP, which is in the current annual catalog. And I did check just before I went live, that is still available. So with a workshop or a purchase of $150 or more, you could get this as with your host rewards. You could get it for $3 or for free, depending on how much your workshop is. If your workshop is at least 180, this would be completely free to you. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, and we're going to put that on here, but we're not going to do that yet. Okay, we are going to go ahead and start our, actually, I think I could put this down and this down. Let's just put these down. Let's do that. Let's put this piece together and this piece together. We'll just put this down and get that out of the way. Okay, and then we'll set it aside. We're going to put some ribbon around that, but we need to know where to put that. So we're going to take out our piece of basic black here, and we're going to get our Stamparatus. I've already mounted the stamps I'm going to use. This is a 2 or 3 step stamp, depending on how you look at it. From the Bottled Happiness here, we're using this image, and this image, and then we'll be using the Sending a Little Message stamp from that set. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my basic black cardstock in here. And I'm going to use my anti-static tool, which I've had for, oh, I don't know, 20 years. Still going strong. You can get these on Amazon. We used to sell them, but we don't anymore. So I'm just going to, that just helps get all the static and keeps my embossing powder from sticking where I don't want it. I'm going to stick a stamp case under here, and I'm going to move this over so you guys can see, because that would be fabulous, I'm sure. All right, so I'm using the Versamark ink, and I'm just going to ink this stamp up. I'm going to ink it really well. And then I'm going to make sure I push my cardstock up into the corner there. And before I do that, I'm going to flip that. Oh, I hope this is going to be wide enough here. This is not the same size paper I had before. Hold, please. I want to make sure this doesn't move. So I'm going to stick this in here. Let's put a little bit of temporary adhesive on there, and then I know it's not going anywhere. I'm going to take that anti-static tool again because I stuck my fingers all over that cardstock. Now I could use my magnets, but I find that the magnets don't work very well with the photopolymer. They work great with the cling, but not so much with the photopolymer because I think they're thicker than the photopolymer. So I'm just going to stamp this down, give it a good press. And because I'm using Versamark, I don't have to be in a big old hurry. I want to make sure that all stamped good, and I think I missed some little spots over here. So I'm going to ink that again. Okay, then I'm going to pull my plate out at a 90-degree angle and flip it. This is the beauty of the Stamparatus. And then I'm going to ink up the next stamp, which is the leaves and the flower centers. And I'm just going to give this a good press down. And that all looks lovely. So I'm going to pull this out at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to set this off to the side. And then on my second plate, because the Stamparatus comes with 2 plates, 4 sides basically, I've got my jug here mounted, and I'm going to ink that up. And then I'm going to press that down. And now I've got everything lined up exactly where I need it. And that looks beautiful. Put the lid back on my Versamark. I'm going to pull that off of my, again, 90-degree angle to lift that up. I'm going to set those off to the side. And I'm going to grab my embossing powder here. And I've just got a coffee filter in my tray here. Any old coffee filter will do. Just will catch my powder. At least some of it. All right. So that looks pretty good. All right, let me set this. I'm going to close this. Well, I'm going to try to close it. I'll put the rest of that back in my jar later. Now, I've got a little bit of powder here where I don't want it. Not that it matters so much because we're going to be cutting this out anyway, but don't need it on there, so I'm taking it off. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my heat tool. And I'm going to turn that on and heat it up for a second, because the hotter your heat tool, the faster it melts. Get my fingers way out of the way here. And then I'm going to bring this up and start to heat the back of that, just to get my paper nice and warm. And then I'm going to flip to the front. I'm going to hold that about an inch or so away until I see it start to turn shiny, glossy. And then I'm going to move my tool, and I'm just going to keep moving that until I cover the entire image and everything is nice and shiny white. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a look at that in the light and make sure I've got it all, which I have, because it's very, very important for our next part. That be all nice and shiny. Now I want to let that cool for a minute before I do the next step. So I'm going to go ahead and take my scrap piece of basic white here, and I'm going to take my sentiment, which I forgot to get out, on the stamp case here. Grab myself a block. And put that on. And then I'm going to take some Memento. And just going to stamp this down here, like so. Get my stamp out of the way. Then I'm going to take my postage stamp punch, and I'm going to center this in here. And I didn't give myself enough paper. So if this happens to you, I don't know what I was thinking. You just get a Post-it note, put that at the top of your paper, and then you can slide that into your punch easily. Now I'm going to slide that all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to line that up. Actually, hang on, let me do it this way. I think how did I do this? I want to do this. And then I'm going to see how this works out. Okay. Now, obviously that's way too big. So I need to shorten it. I'm going to stick this back in here. Yep. Just like that. I'm going to hold on to this, my paper again. I'm going to stick this back in. I'm going to line up the edges of the little divots here. You can see them on the side, the little holes. And I'm just going to line that up, put those in place, and give that a punch. And now I have shortened my postage stamp punch. Okay? All right. So we have that ready to go. Except for we're going to take a little bit of, we're going to take our light polished pink Stampin' Blend. I'm going to take the bullet tip, and I'm just going to run that around the edge here. Give that a little bit of color, just to make it have the illusion that it has a layer behind it, and it will make this pop out on our card when we add it. And the tip of our marker fits pretty well down in the divots there. Okay, now you can use either the light or the dark, whichever you prefer. You could use a Stampin' Right marker, but I really like the way that light Stampin' Blend looks. So we're going to set that aside because we've got it all ready to go. And now we're going to take our embossed piece back, and we're going to pull in our Stampin' Blends. And I'm going to start with the dark pale papaya, and I'm going to do all of these center flowers. And the beauty of this technique, you've got it in black, so if you go off the embossing, you really can't tell. So this really is quick, doesn't take very long to color it. Slap some color on there and move on. Pretty quick and easy. Hello, Lynette. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so there's those center flowers. Now I'm going to go away from these for a minute, and we'll come back to that. Okay, then I'm going to take my dark fresh freesia, and I'm going to go on these little pieces that look a little bit like lilacs to me, but I'm not sure what they are. I'm calling them lilacs. And I'm coloring them as if they were. I've got some beautiful purple ones in my backyard that will be blooming here soon. Okay, so I've got those. Now I'm going to take my light polished pink and I'm going to fill in these larger flowers here. And just the tips of these. And you can tell I'm really not being all that careful. Because like I say, if you go off, it doesn't show up on the black. Okay, so we've got that. Then we're going to take our light granny apple green and I'm going to go on these leaves. And this technique is called black magic. It really makes your colors pop off the page. Okay, so let's get this and this. Then I'm going to go back with the dark granny apple green and I'm going to do these stems just to give them a little bit more depth from the other leaves. I'm coloring the base of these buds with that as well. And I'll cover the lilac stems. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back with my light calypso coral. I let my my dark pale papaya dry. And I'm going to go back with my light calypso coral. And in the center of these, I'm just going to scribble on some color. And literally, I'm just scribbling the color on. And you can see how much depth that gives those flowers. Okay, then we're going to take our dark pool party. And I am going to color in my jug here. Okay. Let that dry for just a second. I'm going to go back over it with my brush tip and I literally am just scribbling on color. And it's okay if it's got some spots that are light and dark, that's what I want. Okay, so there is our jug of flowers. Nice, huh? Then we're going to fussy cut that. And we're going to get this. Okay, and now we're ready to start putting our card together. So let's go ahead. This is going to sit about here. We're going to get our ribbon before we do that. Actually, we're going to make this easiest on ourselves. We're going to flip this over. We're going to put some Stampin' Dimensionals on this. And I'm purposefully leaving this area in here empty. I'm going to put this on here. And then I'm going to determine where I want my ribbon. And I'm going to lay this down. This ribbon is a little bit folded here, so let me take my thumbnail along there and take that crease out. It was kind of folded in half on the bolt. Okay, so I'm going to take this then, and I'm going to measure about where I want this. And then I'm going to slip this out of here. And I'm going to tie my bow. And if you crisscross it like this, hold this directly up, bring this around, don't twist anything, push and pull. You should have a beautiful bowl with the heads up and the tails down. Okay, and then we'll double check to make sure that that's where we want that ribbon to go again, and if we don't, we'll slide it up. Okay, and we'll cut this off. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this piece to my card now. I'll fold this in half and take my bone folder and give that a good burnish. Okay. Then I can just add this to my card. And I'm just going to add some seal. Hold that in place. Center that on. And then we'll add our flowers. Right in there. Like so. And then I'm going to take a glue dot, or not a glue dot, but a dimensional, and I'm going to stick it on the right side of our sentiment and put a little seal on the left side. And then we'll add this to our card here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and trim up our tails. And there's our card front. I hope you like that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my goodness. We almost forgot. We've got to put our brushed brass butterflies on there. We're going to grab our take your pick tool. And I'm going to take one large butterfly. And I'm going to put that up here. And then I'm going to take a smaller butterfly. And I'm going to put that up here with our sentiment. And then I'll take another small butterfly. And I'm going to put that right here on the scallop. Okay. And there we have our card front. Okay, for the inside of this card then, I took this leaf image here and I stamped it twice in Granny Apple Green, and I added a piece of that Pattern Party Designer Series paper to the bottom. I've left it blank because we can send any type of little message when we're ready to send it. We could make this a birthday card, a Mother's Day card, a just because card, a get well card, any occasion at all. All right, so there's our card, inside and out. And then for the envelope, again, I've taken those sprigs of green, of Granny Apple Green, and put those on the front of my envelope. And then I made a matching envelope flap That's a good use of your designer series paper, especially when it is retiring. We can get that used up. All right, I hope you liked that project. And now we'll put these away and we will move on to our next project. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Lynette. You guys are so kind. Thank you. All right, so our next project uses the Gumball Greetings. Let's get this out of the process here. And then we'll move on to our next one. And I am combining some current with some sneak peeks. So this is the basis of our card. From the Happiness Abounds stamp set and dies that are in the new catalog. This is what these are the Blooming Happiness dies. We're going to be using this piece for some die cutting. Okay, we're not actually using the stamp set, but here is the stamp set. This is a beautiful bundle. Okay, and that's in the new catalog, which we'll be releasing May 3rd. We're going to be using the ornate frames. This is on the last chance list, and when I checked yesterday, it was still available. Because when I put this card together late last night, I checked the list. So hopefully those are still available today. They were not showing low inventory, so hoping and praying they're still there for you. If you don't already have them, that's a great set for cutting out sentiments. We're going to be using the 2022-2024 in color paper pack. Okay, so this is the patterns that you get in this pack. You get these 4 patterns in all 5 colors. And this is sweet sorbet, Tahitian tide, parakeet party. Then we've got Starry Night and Orchid Oasis. Oh, there we go. This is Orchid Oasis right here. This one. And this is Starry Night. Okay? But of course, you could use any color combo for this card. It would be easy. All right, so let's go ahead. Oh, and then we need a piece of the designer series paper from Blessings of Home. Starting with a basic white thick cardstock. This is A2 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then we've got a scrap piece of basic white for stamping. Got a piece of basic white 3 5/8 by 4 7/8 for the inside, and I've already stamped the little gumball image in the corner here and colored that with Parakeet Party, Sweet Sorbet, and Tahitian Tide, which I think is a very colorful combination. I love that. And like I said, we've got a piece of that Parakeet Party. We're going to cut that down. Got a piece of Blessings of Home, and this is cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Before we do anything else, we're going to set this aside. I've done a bunch of the die cutting already, you guys, to save time. I didn't want you to be here all night. So I think this might be the only piece we need to die cut. So I'm going to take this piece, and you can see that it has this edge. This is a cutting line, and this edge does not cut. So I'm going to put this into my machine, and I'm putting the non-cut side to the inside and the cut edge to the outside. And I'm just going to set this on here at the edge. I'm going to take a piece of Post-it tape and try and keep that so it doesn't move. And then I'll put my top plate on, and I'm going to roll that through my mini. This entire die set with the Gumball Greetings goes into the mini cut and emboss. So set that aside and take off our Post-it tape. And I didn't get that quite far enough to the top with the cut edge, but we'll just snip that. And now we have this look that it was torn out of a notebook. Okay, so if your die bends like this a little bit, just gently put your fingers to support in the center and give it a little bit of pressure, not much, along there. Keep moving your hands together, and then it will lay down flat again. Okay, let's put this away so we don't lose it. Now, I've taken and pre-die cut out of sweet sorbet, right? Am I right, Tracy? Sweet sorbet. I've cut the die from the Gumball Greetings. So this is the base piece, and I've cut that. And I've cut this little silver piece on silver foil. I've cut this little handle, turn handle die, also out of the silver foil. And then I've cut this base piece. This goes along the bottom of our gumball machine. I've cut that out of the sweet sorbet. And finally, I've cut the top piece out of the sweet sorbet. And those will make our gumball, other than we will be cutting this one, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to stamp and show you how to do this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our pieces back on here, so I don't lose those. And let's try putting them back in the right spot so they go back on correctly. All right. So now we've got this piece. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of stamping, and then we'll start the assembly. So here's my scrap piece of basic white, which I could actually do everything on this because this is way more than I need. We're going to take the top of the glass part of the gumball, and you'll see on here there's a wider part that has a curvy edge right here at the bottom that curves a little bit, and then this is a little bit narrower. I suggest when you ink this up that you ink it up this way. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a bunch of ink in the center, especially if you press hard, and then that's going to get on your paper, and you do not want that. That's going to make a mess. Okay, so again, the narrow is at the top, and the wider part is at the bottom. So we're just going to stamp that down. I'm going to hold it for a second. Okay, there we go. So we've got that. Then we're going to take and grab the Tahitian Tide, Sweet Sorbet, and Parakeet Party. And we've got these 3 little gumballs. I'm going to show you a trick with these. Okay, I need to get these pieces out of here before they get inked. All right. So first I'm going to take my Parakeet Party, and on this little scrap of paper here, I'm going to stamp these down. Okay. And I'm going to go over here, and I want some at the top and I want some at the bottom. So I'm going to randomly put these in here, like so. Okay. I'm going to clean this stamp. And I'm going to close this ink pad before I have a disaster. I'm going to get my Tahitian Tide. And again, I'm going to ink up that stamp. And my stamp is a little bit too wet. Hang on. Let me dry that on my apron. And then I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to strategically place these again. Turning. Okay. And now I don't have a bunch of room left for my Sweet Sorbet. And I would have to way overlap everything. So I'm going to take my Sweet Sorbet and I'm going to ink these up once again over here. Okay. And then I'm going to clean this. And now I'm going to bring my ink pad in. And I'm just going to use the corner of my ink pad. And I'm just going to ink up 1 gumball. Okay. And then I can start placing this in here where I want some Sweet Sorbet gumballs. Just making sure that I don't get my ink around on my others. And I'll just fill those in. Oh, and if I get a little bit where I don't want it, I'll just clean that off. Okay, then I'm happy with that. Now, I'm going to take this, and this die has a wider part at the bottom and a narrower part at the top. And I'm going to put this in here like so. And I'm going to make sure that I line up the curve of the stamp with the curve of the die right here. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I want that curve right there like that. And then that will put the tip of this at the tip of this edge here. Then I'll put a little bit of washi tape in there. And I'll run that through my machine. And I'll have this. Okay. And now we're ready to start the assembly. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. We didn't do our sentiment. We better do that real quick. We're going to take, I'm going to show you how to do that because I'm going to take this die here And I'm going to make this smaller. So I don't need a large piece of this. So I'm just going to take a small piece and cut that off there. And then I'm going to take my sentiment, which is wishing you the sweetest day ever. I'm going to stamp this in Sweet Sorbet. Okay. I'll clean that off right away because the Sweet Sorbet stains pretty quickly. It's a pretty dark pinky red. Okay, so now with this, I'm going to start here. I'm going to line this up where I want it. And don't know what I did with that Post-it tape I had. No worries. We've got more. Okay. So we're going to take that and line it up. And I'm going to pin that down there. And then bring back in the mini cut and emboss. And I'm going to take my plate and I'm only going to put it to the end of the S here. And then so that my die and my paper are hanging out of my plate. And then I'm going to roll that through my machine. And that's going to spit that out the other end. And then I'm going to take this off of here. And it's bent a little bit, so I'm going to just gently in the center with lots of support, give that a quick little bend. Then I'm going to take this down. I'm going to slide my die down to where I want it. And I'm going to be able to feel the ridge of where that's going to go right back into that cutting edge. It fits right in there. You'll feel it click. And then slide it down to where you want it. I'm going to tape that on there. And this time I don't have to worry about that second plate. I'm just going to run the whole thing through. Because with this particular die, it doesn't matter. Okay. And now when I pull that Post-it tape off of there, we went from this to this. Okay? That's a good way to make your dies go further and work on more things. If it's too large, a lot of those dies you can do that with and just make them smaller. So they'll work for you. Okay. Now I think we have all of our pieces. Now there is a little die for each of these 3 sets and you would run those through and cut them out, but I've already done that. I'm going to cut this at 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to take our card base. And again, I'm going to line up those edges. Get my bone folder and give that a good crease. And then I'm going to add my Designer Series paper. And you could use whichever side. In fact, let's use this side this time. Let's do that just to see what we get. I love this pattern. My sample, I used the polka dot side in Tahitian Tide. So we'll get to see. And if your trimmer leaves a cut edge, just take your bone folder and smooth that down and you will never know it was there. Okay, so we've got that. Then we're going to take the designer series paper and we're going to put that down. And I'm just going to put that down with Stampin' Seal. In the center here. Now if you want, you could rough that up to look like you really tore it out of there. Okay, let's start assembling our gumball machine. Okay, I'm going to take some liquid glue and I'm going to add this piece. It's a little bit of Tombow. Oh, come on. Oh, don't tell me you're not going to come out now. I don't want to use the brand new Tombow bottle because I will have glue everywhere. There we go. I just got this bottle and I just put some Tombow in it. So it'd have a little bit finer tip applicator. But now it wants to be a little stinker. It was working fine yesterday. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I'm just going to use the tip to spread what I don't want. Where I got a little extra there. Now, you could probably and should probably use the adhesive sheets when you cut this particular piece out. I'm just going to lay this on here. Like so. And I'm going to add this little piece. And this goes right here on the bottom. Okay. Oh, I just forgot one piece I forgot to stamp. That's okay. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to add this to our thing. And I'm going to do this first. This is not how I did my sample, but I got smarter after I did the first one. Excuse me. I'm just going to put this and set it right above the crease there. And in this slot like so. Let that sit for a minute. Okay. Excuse me. Let me grab a drink. I got a dry spot. Oh, please. Yeah, Laura, that's a really good technique for the coloring the embossing powder. Really pops when you put it on black. Okay, so we're going to get our piercing mat. Here, I'm going to take my piercing mat. I'm going to get my, take your pick tool, the pokey tool end. And I'm going to poke a little hole in here. Okay, just like so. I want to go all the way through. Don't want it to be too big, but okay. Let me put the pin in my glue bottle here so that doesn't dry out. Okay. Then I'm going to take the round and square brads. I'm going to get a little white one, a little white circular one. Okay, and I'm grabbing my smoky slate, Stampin' Blend, and I want this to appear silver. So I'm going to color this with my Stampin' Blend so that it's not a stark white. So I want it to blend in there. Okay, so I've got that. And then I'm going to take the little turn style thing, whatever it's called, and I'm going to add that, and you can barely tell the color with that dark smoky slate. It blends in perfectly. So now I'm going to turn these. I'm going to open up my prongs. And now I can turn the handle on my gumball machine. Okay. It's time to add my base here. So again, I'm going to take a little bit of liquid glue. And I'm just going to put that along the base. And remember to check because your base is the whiter part. And I'm just going to press that in at the base of the glass top there, centering it and taking it up to the black stamping lines. Then for this, I'm going to take and add some liquid glue at the very top edge here. And I'm going to put my top on like so, making sure that I take that clear to the stamped edge. All right, so now I've got my gumball machine together. I'm going to pop this up, and I'm going to make sure that I put Stampin' Dimensionals where the pieces come together for some added support. Oh, and before I get too carried away, I need to add my piece back here, which I forgot to stamp. Okay, so I'm going to take here, I've got a 3/4 inch strip here. Yep, 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to stamp one gumball in each color here, down here near the bottom. Kind of close together. You don't have to do this detail, but I think it looks kind of cool. So I'm going to put that one there. And then I'm going to get it Tahitian tied. And I'm going to, I think I got that quite inked up all the way. Even now, there we go. I'm going to stamp that like that. And then I'm going to snip this off about here. And this gumball machine has a little piece that pops up here. And I'm going to glue this in the space behind here so that it looks like it has gumballs in there. And it looks like I'm going to need to trim the bottom just a titch. And then I'll put a little bit of liquid glue on the sides and at the top here. Just a real thin bead. And then I'm just going to set this down here. And I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to make sure I've got that centered in there so I can see all three of those and give that a press. Okay, now I'm going to finish putting my Stampin' Dimensionals on there. Because again, I'm going to seal those down a little bit with my Stampin' Dimensionals. And I want these to be kind of stuck in there. I'm not putting it right over them, but I am kind of sandwiching this so that it can't move very well, very easily. Okay? Because this still needs to be able to turn freely. Actually, I'm going to move that over just a titch because I can. Okay, there we go. Now we can add this to our card. That one wants to be stubborn and not come off. And I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to put a little bit more to the left than the right. And then again, I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional on the right and seal on the left of my sentiment. I'm going to stick this up here like so. And finally, those little gumballs that we stamped and cut out, we are going to add to our card. So I'm just going to take just a little drop of glue here, and I'm going to set down my parakeet party one here so it looks like it's coming out. And then I'm going to put sweet sorbet, just put one over here, and I'll drop one down here. Yeah, I love the little gumball machines. Now, I went and actually, I have a gumball machine here. I was going to grab it and bring it in and show you. And that's how I went with my, where my colors are, because this one looks almost identical to the gumball machine in the front room that we have. Okay, so there is our card. Now, we're going to take a piece of white baker's twine. And, oh, that's not white, that's linen. We're going to hope I don't know that I have enough to double. Well, let's try it. I might have to get a different, let's see if I can do it. Maybe I can do it if I use my, hang on. Let me use my bow jig because it doesn't take as much. I can do it easier this way. I don't have to have as much to tie it. And then I have enough left on that roll. And I won't have to go digging for my other roll of it. Okay. Now we'll take a glue dot. And we'll roll that into a log with our take your pick. And I think I'm just going to put this right here. And there is the front of our card. Okay, for the inside of our card, I took and stamped that gumball in the 3 colors. Parakeet, I colored with the Stampin' Blends. Parakeet Party, some Sweet Sorbet, and the Tahitian Tide. I've done the same with the envelope, but I have changed the colors just for a little bit of interest. And I, again, didn't put a sentiment in here. I started to do a happy birthday, and then I thought, well, with this, have the sweetest day ever, that doesn't necessarily have to be a birthday. That could be another anytime card. So there you have it. All right. Kept you a little bit later than I should have. We've got that card, and let's grab our first one that we made. And those are our projects for tonight. I hope you enjoyed those. I enjoyed making them for you, and I certainly enjoyed showing you that technique and the sneak peeks. Remember, oh, thank you guys for the hearts. That's so sweet. Don't forget about free shipping day on Thursday, April 21st. Be sure to check out that price increase list and stock up on those items that you need. And I will see you again, hopefully next Tuesday at 7:45. I am going away for the weekend, so we'll see what happens between now and then. I'm pretty jam-packed full, and hopefully I'll have time to prep some cards for you. But if I'm not coming on, I'll let you know. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Tuesday at 7:45. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.